Let's get started. Let's start with a clean slate. We know you've been presented to quite a lot during the years. It's not more than a year ago we presented quite a lot of new ideas on where we were going, but a lot of things has changed since then. As Hannu said, a lot of moving around on key positions in e-commerce, which sometimes is difficult, but it's sometimes always a good thing to get new eyes and new ideas and a fresh perspective on things. So I know many of you may be a little bit biased on how we do stuff and what you've been hearing previously, but I hope that you will keep an open mind. This is a clean slate. We are actually in a position where we have a little bit of everything up for grabs. Not necessarily that we will drop anything, but we want to get some new perspectives, some new inputs. So keep an open mind. We have a lot of things going on. So this is the day where we kind of wipe the slate clean. So our focus now, we are focusing in on fewer markets. As Hannu said previously, one of our 3 key focus areas is regaining trust from partners. We've been out there, we've been hearing what our partners have been telling us, we've been gathering intel, and one of the main things that we need to focus on is to be dedicated to what we do, which is also why we're focusing in on 4 different markets, and we're not going to communicate worldwide anymore. We are focusing in, of course, on our home market. Denmark just makes sense. UK is our 2nd largest market. It's also Poland's market, which he covers quite good. So those are the 2 home markets we have right now. Our growth markets are the Netherlands and Sweden. It makes sense because there's a gap in the market. Epi and Sycor is moving up in the market. Umbraco is making quite a push in both of those markets. So we are kind of piggybacking a little bit off of them, which just makes sense in regards to the product we offer. We are going to go in depth with our partners and what we do instead of going wide. We've been, as Hannu also said, our bandwidth has been stretched to the limit, and we are quite aware of that. So going forward, we're going to have fewer focus areas, but making sure that we work in the right kind of way, also in the way we work with partners. Previously, we've been very focused on making sure that we adapt new partners, that we onboard continuously, and that has been working. But now we have a huge and a great partner network, so we need to make sure that we work with the right kind of partners in the right kind of way for the right kind of customers, where e-commerce caters in the best possible way. And that's also why we're going to revisit our partner model. It's not because the one we have doesn't work. Not at all, actually. It works quite fine. As Hannu said, we increased our sales last year with 25%, which is very satisfying and good, but is there something we can do even better? I believe there is, and that's why we're here today. And we're going to have a more collaborative approach to our partnerships. That basically just means we will work together. When you give us some feedback, we'll make sure to actually ground that in the company and not just put it in our CRM and hope for the best. So we'll make sure that we facilitate how we listen. And that sounds very high level. It's not. It's basically just to make sure that when I get some input, I'll hand it over to Jakob at home as our UX strategist. We've already made some processes in place, so we can make sure that we gather all of this kind of intel that we get. And our position, this has kind of been a big deal when we've been out talking to our partners, that there has been some kind of concern whether or not we actually understood our place in the market. And I believe we do, but we haven't been communicating it correctly. We know that we are a subcontractor, which means we're dependent. We're dependent on the CMS, but we are highly dependent on you as partners. We're dependent that you know the system, that you want to work with the system, and even more important, that you understand how the system works, and you're enabled to build the right kind of solution for your customers. Because of course, we live off of the lifetime value of the customer. You kind of cater to us. So we understand the dependencies. We just need to make sure that we communicate it even better. And we are a platform provider. Of course, we will talk about commerce solution. We'll talk about e-commerce because we are interested in increasing the brand awareness of our product, because we believe it will make it easier for you to sell our product. But we are partner driven. We are not going out there to get the end user. We are solely catering to our partners, but we still need to communicate more broadly. It's just to be very clear about how we see our position in the market. So the new partner model, why do we need it? We need it because as of now, we have over 200 partners worldwide. which is a lot. I know when Anders were standing in my shoes last year, he said out of the 200 partners, 30 of them actually sold a license within the last year. This year, it's exactly the same. So why should we cater to 200 partners if only 30 of them actually sell the licenses? It just doesn't make any sense. Because if we could enable those 30 partners even better, make sure they sell more solutions, that they have even more success with our platform, wouldn't that make more sense? I believe it would. And hopefully those 30 partners who sell our products will increase during the years. Of course, it's a long term, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, but we will get there. We just need to make sure that what we deliver as partners in our partner model is what enables you to sell our product, basically. So the starting point is, we've been out there, we've been listening. I've been out there, Carl's been out there, Paul is going out there, and Jakob and our colleague Laura has helped us out figuring out what are we going to talk about? What do we need answers to? And this is not even polished just a bit. We know there is gaps in our product and our offerings. We are aware of that. Some of the things is easy fix, easy wins, and some of it isn't. But this is what we've been hearing. As you heard previously, it's a good framework. Hopefully all of you know, I really hope you do. It's a good framework, it's a good starting point, it's a baseline for a commerce solution. That is our offering. We're not an out-of-the-box solution. But maybe we've been communicating that we were. And that's maybe where we kind of hit the mark, missed the mark just a bit. It's important for our partners to understand that they make a continuous revenue on building on our platform. They can build better solutions, they can have more extendable solutions, and they can have an increased lifetime value for that one customer by using e-commerce. That's what we've been hearing, and that is actually our main offering. So hearing that from partners is where we really believe we are on the right track right now. We just need to make sure we do that even more. And we fit right into the best of breed mindset. We don't want to do anything more. We are not a PIM, we are not anything else. We are a commerce platform, and we know what we are. We know the foundations we work upon, that we rely upon. So we need to communicate that even more and kind of convey what we are doing. And of course, our extendability is important. It's what makes our partners choose us. Because they don't have to build everything themselves. They can use us and they can extend upon it. The negatives, and those weren't that fun to hear. The first part was quite good. The second part was a little bit more difficult because there's not a quick fix. We couldn't just take anything out of the toolbox and make everything better. It's hard to scope. We heard about projects where they made a negative revenue because they spent too many hours in comparison to what they scoped the project to be. And why is that? Is that because they didn't know the product well enough? Didn't we enable them good enough? Wasn't our academy, or did they even know that we had an academy? Where did we miss the mark at that point? How could we have done better? There's a lacking of support in the sales process. It's hard to convey the message of e-commerce if we don't convey it to our partners. And the technical support, the content on the website doesn't really match with what the product really is. If we're a framework, then why are we talking to the end users in a very, let's not call it Shopify way, but it's a B2C oriented communication. So maybe there is a gap there as well. Documentation and understanding of the product. I think those two are pretty much the same thing in some way. But all of these were kind of things that we kept hearing from the partners. So what we need to do now is, of course, make sure this is actually issues. And we are quite aware it is. Because as we talked about, Jakob facilitated this gathering of intel. So whenever we hear it, we make sure that we kind of add a point to whatever concern it may be. So it's just not something we've heard, now it's data instead. So there's a different way for us to work. Instead of it just being a gut feeling, it's actually something that we know is valid. So this is what we're going to use when we start building a partner model, figuring out what we're going to do with the product, and how we're going to communicate going forward. And the downside, I want to say sorry right off the bat, because this is not an easy one. We're going to make a new partner model, which also means today there will be no announcing MVPs or powerhouses. But there's burgers and beers. So I hope that's a small win for me. But again, we want to make sure we do this the right way. We want to make sure that when we present a new partner model, it's something that caters to you. It's just not something we present and then hopefully you'll have to live with it. We need to make sure we do it the right way this time. We are not going to stand here next year and present something new. That's the main goal. So sorry, there's not going to be any announcements today on that note, but let's see. Our goal. We want closer partnerships. We want to make sure we work with the right kind of partners who understand the product and who we have enabled well enough to build the best kind of solutions. So closer partnerships, hopefully from our point of view, increases the sales of e-commerce licenses. We all need bread and butter, so let's be honest, we all need to make money. And we really believe if we work closer with our partners, make sure there's a deeper loyalty and a deeper understanding, it will increase the sales on both sides of the table. We want to make sure that you as a partner build the best kind of solution for the end user, because we all live out of the lifetime value for our customers. So if we can increase the lifetime value from 2 to 3 years or 3 to 4 years, it's just money on the table. It's a good business case. We'll have better case studies. It's just a win-win. And we want to contribute more to your revenue stream, which is kind of aligned with the first bullet as well. We want to make sure it's fun for you to work with our product because you make money off of it. There's nothing fun about this if it's not a good business case. It just is what it is. And we believe we can do this if we make sure that the partner model we present to you is something that actually works. And then we have a whole lot of different elements we can kind of pull in. Is it a kickback? Is it better support? Is it whatever? That's what we're going to talk about today. So our real goal, all of the other things were just the nice things you have to say. Our real goal, we want to be your most loved partner. We know we're maybe not the preferred partner right now because of our size and the complexity on our platform, which is fair enough. But we want to be your loved partner. We want to make sure that when you have a project where you think about e-commerce, you're looking forward to contacting us, looking forward to picking up the phone, writing the email, getting the answer, having that co-event, making some co-marketing efforts, having something we do together. We want to be there. We want to be present, and we want to be reachable. We want to make sure that you know who we are, you know who you're in contact with, and we want to make it fun. We want to be nearby. So going forward, these are kind of the main things you need to remember after this kind of presentation. We're focused. We are dedicated to making sure that what we focus in on are the right things. We're not going to focus worldwide. It's just not possible. Look at how many we are. Let's focus in on the markets that make sense for us. Let's focus in on a partner model where we don't try to do everything, but we do the right things. And then we know we haven't necessarily been communicating that well. It's not that we don't want to, we just didn't know what you wanted to hear. We need your input. And we need to make sure that whatever we communicate is understood in the right kind of sense. Because a small thing as a roadmap, we've been a little bit scared of releasing it because what if we don't achieve 100%? But I believe that you completely understand because other people are doing this. And if we achieve 70%, maybe that's enough. But you are informed, you know what's going on. Transparency, exactly the same thing. We need to make sure you know what's going on. If we have a difficulty, let's convey it. Because again, we would like to have achieved way more before we got to today on the API and the UI, but then Sitecore made a new version. And we need to make sure that we integrate to that version. So there will always be hiccups, there will always be bumps on the way, but as long as we kind of tell you about it, maybe you'll have a little bit of understanding. And if we work closely together, I believe there is a deeper understanding in that way as well. And then we have the data-driven approach, and that is a key thing for us. When you say something to me on a meeting, even though it's just kind of on the way out, I'll make sure if it's something that's related to the product, I'll write it down. I'll make sure to convey it to our UX department to give it some kind of value and some data instead of it just being a chat over a cup of coffee. And we're collaborative. I think we've already kind of had that discussion. And we want to kind of put our ass a little bit on the line. Instead of just saying we want to make a new partner model, we want to make a new partner model within March next year. and we can't do it any faster. And that's basically just because we need to make sure that we get the right kind of insights, the right kind of intel. So the idea right now, we've already been out there. We've had interviews in Denmark, the Netherlands, Sweden. So I think we're covered on those bases. We have an idea of where we're going. Now today, hopefully we'll get some input from you guys. Next month, Paul is going out in the fields with a questionnaire and asking all of his partners the same questions as Jakob and a lot of other people have been asking our Danish partners. Making sure that we get answers to the same kind of questions, so it's data-driven instead of just a gut feeling. In January, we want to present the first draft of a partner model. We want to do that for, let's call it an advisory board of partners. So if any of you feel like it would be an interesting thing to be a part of, feel free to reach out to me afterwards. We would like to get some inputs. But that would be a presentation of a partner model on how we see it. And then we need some feedback and figure out, well, did we hit the mark or are we way off? And then go back to a drawing board. And in March, we'll present the final touches.